Hi, it's Karen, the Weekend Craftaholic. Welcome to another weekend. Today I want to talk all things storage in your craft room. So I've got 10 different storage ideas for some of our basic craft products. If you want to stick around till the end, I'm also going to give you a quick flip through of my craft inventory. This is a planner that I use to store and remember everything that I've got in my supplies so I don't double purchase. So stick around for that if you're interested to see that. But first, let's kick off with one of the most common questions that we have is how can we store our stamps and dies? So stamps and dies, this is my fridge bin. I will say now I'll put links to everything below. This is perfect solution, I think, for my stamp and die collection. You can see it's pretty full, so I'm trying my best not to purchase any more. And what I originally started to do was have everything on this side was my stamps, this side was my dies, and you can see here I've made my own little sections as well. So I've categorised these in some common themes. You see I've got all my alphas, my animals, any background stamps, birthday stamps. You can see I've got heaps of planner stamps and so on. On this side I've got a lot of lawn fawn, so I've done those more by theme again, but everything lawn fawn here until we get to the back, and you see I don't have too many dies. And I'll just show you an example of one, because lawn fawn do the coordinating dies. You can see I keep my stamp at the front, and then I add magnetic strips to the packaging so that the dies themselves don't fall off. So I keep the dies in the back and then the stamps in the front, and I always make extra when I'm stamping, which is why you'll see some of these little extra dinosaurs. Sometimes I colour them in as well, so it depends what you want to do, but it's a good way of keeping everything in one place. I use this quite often, so I do keep it close to hand rather than sectioned off, and anything that needs to be filed away as well I just keep in the front, so I've still not organised those yet. So that is very quick tour of how I store these. So we'll quickly move on to the next section, which is all about storing your paper kit collections. This is where I store my 12x12 plastic 12x12 cases, and I've just labelled these to show you the brand and the collection name, and I use this if I have got a lot of extra bits to it. So I'll just quickly show you here what I mean by that. This is the Paige Evans Whimsical collection, and because I've got the alphas, the ephemera, some 12x12 sheets, and all my scrap 6x8 pad, I just found it easier to store them because these are quite deep. You can store an awful lot in these. So I'm going to cover off alpha storage and thicker storage next. The alphas belong to a collection. I'd definitely keep them with the collection rather than with my general alphas. So I find those are a great way for storing collections where I've got lots of bits for. Now, one common problem we all have is how do we store our paper scraps. So if you saw one of my craft haul videos recently, you'll notice that I purchased this. This was from We Are Memory Keepers, and it's like an accordion style divider. You can see it comes out. So I wasn't sure if I was going to like this or not, which is why I've not actually given a review of it yet. But it is kind of working. Thought it'd be a bit more sturdy. I was hoping I could just leave it upright, but it doesn't. It kind of flops. My theory behind here is I've got similar colour families within each section, as you can see. And if any sheet's been cut into at all, then it pops in here, even if it's only a little tiny bit, like this one for example. I've only used a little bit of that particular sheet, but it's now a scrap. I can't use it as a full layout, so that goes in here. And if ever I'm looking for a small piece of paper, I always go into this first before I cut into a new sheet again. So I see if there's anything in here that I can use. Now you might notice there's no white in here, and I'll show you how I store my white scraps because I obviously use those an awful lot. So in one of my Alex drawers here, I have this separate little bin where I put all of my paper scraps. So this sometimes, like this is just copy paper, or it could be thick cardstock. So all the different thicknesses of white scraps are in here, and I'll go to this first if I say want to stamp an image, to colour in or whatever. Just quickly touch on under here. I did cover this off in my craft room video, so I won't dwell on it too long, but I keep these little 12x12 baggies, and this is all my coloured cardstock as well. Now these are not 12x12, these are just the A4 size. This is how I keep all my coloured papers separately. So for example, different shades of purple in that particular baggie as well. But again, they're kind of my last go-to. I'll always have a look in here for any white scraps, my little file and system for any paper scraps, and if that doesn't work, then I'll jump in here for a fresh sheet. For just my basic 12x12 storage, if I've not got anything else to go with, I keep them in these little dividers here. Now these dividers from IKEA are not actually 12x12 size. Hopefully you can see here, they don't push all the way to the back. So they're really for an A5 or letter size storage, the 8x11-ish paper that we normally get for our printer. I do find that if I keep the drawers out slightly, as you can see here, then it will fit a 12x12. And I've just categorised them with my metallic, my vellum, my glitter, my coloured, and then just on this bottom shelf here is where I've got all my single sheets as well. Moving on to die cuts, this one I have tried quite a few different methods for organising my die cuts. I originally kept them in the original packs that they came in. I originally kept them in a little system similar to my stamp storage where I just used the Avery pockets to reduce the storage, and I finally landed upon this. Now these are just 6x4 little cases. They come in a bigger case, but I decided the best way for me was to store it by colour, and that's because whenever I was looking for a little piece of embellishment in the form of a die cut, I always knew what colour I wanted. So I was finding I was going through all of the different packs that I'd purchased, then trying to find a colour to match the layout that I was doing or the card I was making. So this way really works for me, and as you can see I'm actually getting through some of these die cuts now. I'm trying my hardest not to buy any more. I do want to try and work through my stash, but you can see here just how neatly it keeps them organised. And yes, it does take up a full drawer. I do have an awful lot of these to get through, so if I do get the chance to work through them all, I know I can always use these back in the little case that it came in and use it for something else to store. Now, one of the other reasons I love these little cases, as you can see, it's really easy just to open, flick through while you're actually on your desk and rummage through what you've got to see whether you want to actually use something, if something's suitable for your layout. So a lot less mess and easy to put away when I finish looking through it by keeping them in here as well. Now I want to move over and talk about my card making supplies and how I store these separately. And I have got these little mint baskets from Kmart. They do also do them in a white. And I'll just quickly show you, they come with a cover, so they stack really nice, as you can see here. And I can fit 2 of these in my 12x12 Kallax unit, which is great. And there's also 2 in the back of that. So you can get 4 of these in one little Kallax corner. So I've just brought this over to my desk to give you a bit of a closer look. So this particular basket, I store all my blanks. So this is when I've bought cards and envelopes to match. I stick them in here and then I can find the right colour to go. I must admit, I don't make my own card fronts. I don't do enough cards to warrant cutting them, and I really wouldn't have the patience to buy whole packs of paper, make my own envelopes, make my own cards. So I buy them in packs of 6. They're cheap enough. They're a couple of dollars for 6 cards, 6 envelopes, which do me nicely. And you can see here I've got a range of different sizes as well. In terms of the cards that I've made, and I probably should make an effort and make some nicer dividers, but this is how I'm using it at the moment. I'm just making use of these old Project Life cards. These are just 6x4. I've just stuck a label on with my label machine and again categorised my cards. And so this is where I go to if I want a card quickly, or if I'm a bit bored, I'm not sure what I want to do, I'll have a look on here and see is there any cards that I need to make that I'm running low on. So for me this is a good way of keeping on track. I did originally have it divided by months, so this is another option for you. I originally had 12 months and then I put a little note on the card itself when everybody's birthdays were due, so that I could make cards ready for that month, ready to send. But then I found I needed more random ones, just like under these categories. So this way I find it a lot easier, and I always make sure, for example, that I try and keep the birthday one nicely stocked up. You can see here, this is my birthday category, and I've got a lot of cards in here already made, ready to go. Just more envelopes and cards that I've stuck in, and then these are some at the front that I've not yet stuck in the back. Now in terms of storage in the cards, depends how long you think you're going to keep them for. I have also got some of this little packaging. Again, these were only a few dollars for about 60 of them, so nice and cheap. And they come in different sizes depending what size cards you've got. But this is a good way, again, of storing them. If you're someone that makes cards to sell, this is a must, I think. When people are looking through your cards, they're definitely going to want to make sure that they're nicely protected as well. So this is another option. If you're a card maker, I'm sure you've come across this. But this is something else that you can see I don't use an awful lot of, but if I've made cards that I don't anticipate using for a while, so for example new baby, then I will keep those protected in those packet sleeves as well. So journaling cards, Project Life cards, this has been a bit of a bane in my life, I have to say. I was just collecting these, so many of them. So proud to say I've managed to get them all down to one container. Of course it's IKEA, again, that's come to the rescue. This was $25 from IKEA because it's got a nice little handle, it's metal, and you can see it stores the 3x4s perfectly along here. And I don't have too many 6x4s, they're the ones I generally use a lot more of. So you can see I've stuck them here. But you can absolutely see you'd probably get 3 lots across that way as well if you wanted to. Because I've got a lot more of these 3x4, I've just used that space to store them. Now again, you could go one further and put little dividers if you store your journaling cards by collection. I keep meaning to go through and organise them by colour, just like my die cuts. But to be honest, I don't reach them an awful lot. Maybe because it's too hard to find something. So I probably should, one night in front of the TV, go through these and actually sort them. As of yet, this is how they're organised. And I like the fact that they're organised in just one little container. Then it's not near my desk, but I've got this nice little handle and I can just grab it over and use it as I need to. So moving on to ink storage. Now this one is definitely a personal preference and taste. I've just got 2 drawers full. I'm very fortunate though, I don't have many big pads. Everything I buy is mini because I'm short on storage space. You can see I don't have too much ink, but I certainly don't feel the need to buy any more. Whenever I do need a colour, I always seem to have one that's suitable. I did used to store them on their side. You can see these have got little swatches on them, for example, so I could easily see. But then I didn't like having to move them around, get them off the order of the little tower. So this is the best solution for me. And yeah, there's some more at the back. They're hard to get to. It's absolutely fine. It works well for me. I've been using this little wooden doweling system just to kind of keep them separated, because whenever I do open the drawer, they do tend to fall forward. But they're a lot better since I've been using the doweling just to keep them in place. So that is my preference for inks storage. I never like storing them on the side. I know some manufacturers say that you can. I'm never too sure myself. So I just love having them this way. You can absolutely see what you've got in one place. So this is my marker solution. As you can see, I don't have an awful lot of them. This does store 72 markers. So if you do have Copics, which you can see I don't, they do fit Copics and they keep them nice and separated. So I generally use this for all my go-to pens, things I need close by on my desk. And you can see the quite wide spaces. For my smaller pens like these, I'll just quickly zoom in and show you. You can actually get 4 of these in one section as well. If you're looking for horizontal storage, this is a great solution for that as well. Now in terms of storing alphas and thickers, this is something that I've been trying to find for so long. Just because of the size of them, the length of them, it's really hard to find a good storage solution. I was lucky enough to find this on clearance in Officeworks here in Australia. These are 2 separate units. I've just stacked them on top of one another. And in my Calyx unit, I've also still got space to put another little storage bin on top of that. So this is where I keep all my random stuff. And in here, I, again, try and sort it by colour theme. You can see I've got here, these are like my reds and oranges. Sometimes they don't always fit. I mean, this is an example of thickers, so you can see this is fit, but only because the end has been folded in like this. So this is what this particular drawer, I've got all my kind of metallic, my golds, my silvers, holographic, that kind of stuff. This is all my blacks and whites. This will store a standard A4 letter size, so it gives you some idea. And you can see the depth here, it's probably a couple of inches as well. So it does store an awful lot. I love the fact that they're all in one place. And I've got space to grow for this as well. And it keeps it nice and neatly organised as well. And coming in at number 10, my last storage tip for Sequins is this gorgeous little caddy. Now, this really hard to get in Australia, but if you're watching from the UK or the US, I'm sure you may have also come across these, but I absolutely love this. This is a great way, you can see you've got these little sections, so it's easy just to grab, easy way to store. You can store an awful lot within one of these little ones, I have to say. I believe there's 78 of these little compartments that come with it. It's just so easy to see what you've got. They're easy just to pick up, to put on your desk, to use. It does also come with these removable labels, which you can see I've not used, which you can put on each of those little compartments as well. And it does come with a lid, but because it's in my drawer, I don't need it. So a useful little case for sequins or even glitter, whatever you want to use it for, jewellery making, that kind of thing. I love this little case. It only brings me joy just looking at it actually when I open the drawer. But this is my storage solution for sequins. So that's the end of my top 10 tips for storage ideas in your craft room. Now, I do have a video on this, but it's quite old. It's a couple of years old now, but it's still going strong. So I've been using this for about 3-4 years. It's an old Kiki K planner that I wanted to repurpose. I love the size. If I'm going shopping or I'm online shopping, I keep it close by. I know there's lots of apps and all kinds of online stuff you can do, but I am a planner girl. I love paper, obviously, with all my crafting. So this absolutely works for me. So make sure I don't double buy on inks or that kind of stuff. I download all of the colour charts from the various brands such as Tim Holtz, Catherine Pooler, that kind of stuff. I organise my dividers in here by colour, so that's on my, whether it's colour for inks, liquid pearls, foils, misty, all of that kind of stuff is the colours at the front. Then I've got a list of all my paper collections. In terms of impressions, that's things like the dies, the stamps, embossing plates, stencils, punches, hot foils are in there. So I keep a list of all of that. I've got, you can see here, I downloaded from Lawn Fawn all of the stamp collections. Then I have another section for my embellishments. So this is where we're talking more around the alphas, the washi tapes, glitter, all that kind of good stuff is all on here. And for a lot of this, it was too difficult to categorize. You know, you can't, it doesn't really make sense to write down what color glitter you've got. So for a lot of these, I just took photographs. So you can see this was before I bought my sequin collection, and this is how I used to store them, in these IKEA spice jars. So I found it was just easier, it's 5 cents for print, to take photographs and keep them in my little book as well. And then right at the end, I've got a list of all my tools. That's probably more insurance purposes than anything, so I could keep a track of what I've got. And then right at the very end, I do have a section for sewing, but that has been split out. My sewing collection has grown. So I hope you've enjoyed my 10 storage ideas for your craft room this weekend. But otherwise, have a great crafting weekend. Thanks for watching.